Hey there, welcome. My name is Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, your host for the Night Sky this week. Thanks for joining me. I love seeing you guys here. I love seeing the comments. Do share where you're watching from, wherever you are around the world. It's a busy time talking about the night sky, about space news in general. Of course, NASA's been making a lot of headlines with their Artemis moon mission, trying to launch that rocket. Of course, now with all the leaks, the gas leaks in the plumbing in the rocket ship, that's been delayed. And of course, with the Hurricane Ian that's now barreling towards Florida, means they might have to roll it back to the vehicle assembly building. So that rocket mission is to be announced, maybe pushed back a week or two, or maybe even further. We don't know. Our humanity's return to the moon mission. Also making big news is NASA's DART mission. That is the little spacecraft that's the size of a vending machine that's going to be smashing into an asteroid's moon. About 11 million miles away from Earth. That's happening this evening, Monday, September 26th, as we're recording. So just a few hours from now. That'll be great. You can watch all that happening on nasa.gov. I'll be watching it myself. It should be really interesting. So highly encourage you to tune in to see if they can actually nudge this little asteroid off to the side slightly to test the idea that that's all we need to do. If there is a incoming asteroid that has Earth in its crosshairs, can we actually deflect an asteroid? This is a test, a planetary defense system test, basically, that NASA's doing. And it's the first of its kind ever. And if we can nudge a little asteroid just by smashing a little spacecraft to its side, this could be really big for our planet in general. So no worries about the asteroid itself. Don't worry, it's not heading towards Earth or anything. It's completely benign. It's just a nice, safe test at a faraway distance with an asteroid that isn't any danger to Earth. But it's really interesting. That's the DART mission. It's happening tonight. And you can watch it on nasa.gov. I'll put a link in the comments after the show. So that's really big. And of course, when it comes to the night sky, why we're all here, Jupiter. Jupiter is really making news this week because it's in opposition this week, actually tonight officially, but it doesn't really matter for sky watchers like you and me. It's basically all month of September. It's been great. Right now, it is at its biggest and brightest officially as of today. And opposition means that the Earth and Jupiter, Earth, and Sun are in perfect alignment, and Jupiter and our planet are at its closest together. Jupiter's at about 593 million kilometers away. I know that sounds like a lot, but that is very close for this planet distance from us. And this, for sky watchers, means that we get to see it very brilliant in our skies. And you've probably seen it looking towards the east in the evening, west in the early morning if you get up early, if you're an early bird. But if after supper you look out towards to the southeast, you'll see this brilliant star-like object, and that is Jupiter. And with a telescope binoculars, the views are even more impressive. So opposition is great. It's when Jupiter is at its closest to our planet for the year, and it also means that it's big in our telescopes and binoculars. We see more details with the planet. And it just so happens that Jupiter is also at its closest, not just for this year, but for the last 59 years. It was back in 1963 when Jupiter was as close to our planet as it is now. And think about it, what the world was like back in 1963. John F. Kennedy was still president. The last time Jupiter was this brilliant in our skies, this close, and such a good view. It's really incredible. And we won't see it again for many decades to come. So I advise you to get out, look at Jupiter. If you haven't ever before, bring that telescope out and watch it. Now here's turning to our skies, you can see what the situation is. And Jupiter is rising in the southwest. This is set at sunset tonight, Monday, September 26th. Looking towards the east, you'll see a yellowish, fairly brilliant star-like object. That is Saturn, the ringed planet. And that is going to be pinning down the southeast just after sunset. Now, if we go an hour after sunset, bingo, look, there is Jupiter rising in the constellation Pisces, the fishes. You can see that illustrated here very nicely for us. And Jupiter is inside this constellation, and it is super bright. You cannot miss it. Look towards the east. Soon after sunset, as darkness falls, you'll see Jupiter. As I said, it's in opposition. Prime time viewing for us right now. And just take a look at that. If we look at it through, imagine the view through binoculars, this is what we would see. So I'm just going to zoom in. And with binoculars, let me just, I should make it a little bit darker here. Let me see, 2 hours after sunset. Let's look at that. Then when it gets totally dark and we zoom in on Jupiter, you'll see when it gets total dark is when you'll get to really see, even with binoculars, some of the moons of Jupiter. And they're labeled here for us. So we've got Callisto, Europa, Io, Ganymede, and these four are called the Galilean moons, first observed by Galileo, the Italian astronomer, back in the early 1600s, 400 years ago. He actually saw them with his primitive telescope, his newly invented telescope. Telescopes were brand new at that point, 400 years ago. And that telescope had about the equal power to a modern day powerful binoculars, really. And that's why if you hold your binoculars steady enough, now it has to be rock steady, you'll be able to pick out these dots that are around Jupiter. And those dots are the moons, the main moons, the four main moons, the brightest, largest moons of Jupiter are visible. If you have a telescope, well, then you get to see even more detail, like the cloud bands that cut across the disk of Jupiter are visible. And if you're lucky, you can even get to see the big red eye storm called the Great Red Spot. Famous storm has been raging for centuries. We've seen it since the invention of the telescope. We've seen this red storm. It's twice the size of Earth. Earth could be swallowed up easily within this great red spot, this giant cyclone raging on Jupiter. It's just an amazing planet to explore with a backyard telescope, even with binoculars, to see those moons. And if you watch it over a course of a few hours, a couple of days, you'll see the movement that of the moons of Jupiter. They'll actually switch positions. They'll change. So you can watch that with a pair of binoculars, nothing more. So do try that. It's really amazing. So Jupiter is dominating the overnight skies. they'll be great. If you're clouded out like I am today, no worries. You'll get chances the rest of this week and well into October. You'll get amazing views of Jupiter. So no worries. This isn't like it has to be today because today is the opposition. I know the media and a lot of folks are yakking it up about it today, but really it's not important to see it today. If you can't, you'll have plenty of choices over the coming weeks to see Jupiter really at its best. You have to remember it takes 12 years for Jupiter to orbit around the sun. Jupiter is so big that over 1,200 planet Earths could fit inside of it. So no problem. It is a big planet, and it's brilliant. Those clouds that cover Jupiter are highly reflective, and so that's why it's so brilliant. And of course, because it's at opposition now, it is at its brightest and biggest in our skies. So get out those binoculars and telescopes if you can, or even if you just have just your eyes, check out Jupiter. And it's amazing to think, the other thing I want you to kind of appreciate here is that even though it's 591 million kilometers away, and that's considered its closest, it still takes almost 33 minutes for the sunlight reflecting off the cloud tops of Jupiter to reach your eye. Travel all that distance through interplanetary space and reach your eye. Incredible stuff. So do check it out. Just think about 33. You're looking back in time to almost 33 minutes when you're looking at Jupiter. So that's something really cool to think about tonight or anytime this week or next week when you go out and look at Jupiter rising in the east as soon as darkness falls, and it just will dominate the overnight skies. Here, if I go forward in time, you can see as the hours progress, this is like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You'll see it's heading towards the high southern skies. This is in the like 1 o'clock in the morning. See, it's in the south already here. Look at that. There's Jupiter. And you can see, and it's going to be setting in the west by dawn. Look at that. As the dawn approaches, there on the right-hand side, you can see Jupiter setting in the west. So by when the sun rises in the east in the morning, Jupiter will be setting in the west. This is what we call opposition. Jupiter is at opposition. Primetime viewing. Best view of Jupiter now for 59 years. It was 1963, the last time Jupiter was so bright and big in our skies. Something to celebrate. It's a cool fact, and you can enjoy that anytime this week, next week, well into October. Now, another thing I wanted to mention in today's episode is the moon. The moon, there's the crescent moon. You can see this is set for Tuesday evening, Tuesday, September 27th. It's near the star Spica, just in the southwest western part of the sky. Big challenge. This is right after sunset. Look for the moon with binoculars and see if you can spot that bright star Spica. This is in the constellation Virgo the Maiden. Spica is usually an evening star visible after sunset in the springtime. So we're losing very quickly the spring stars in dusk and in the glow of the sunset. But if we watch how the moon moves closer, this is on Thursday and Friday, it's actually going to meet up with a brilliant star called Antares, I should say. Antares is the brightest star in the constellation Scorpius. You can see that giant arachnoid here. And this is a beautiful pairing of the crescent moon and this bright, bright orange star, all happening in the southwestern skies after darkness falls. And this is happening on Friday, September 30th, last day of the month. Beautiful way to end the month is looking at this crescent moon pairing up with this orange star. And just think that orange star, Antares, is over 550 light years away. You're looking back in time almost 6 centuries, 5.5 centuries back in time is when the light left on its journey from this star, Antares. It's a giant star. It's considered a red giant. Might go supernova in the future. We don't know. Explode. But for now, it's just one of those beautiful, brilliant, brightest stars in our skies, distinctly orange in color. Check that out. It's just a really beautiful sight. So that's on September 30th. And by if we look towards October 1st, there you'll see the moon will have moved by Saturday away from Antares. And this is what you'll see. The moon, crescent moon, way to the left of that brilliant orange star. So something fun to do this week if you've got some clear skies. Really fun. And if you like this kind of stuff, I've got something for you. Of course, my book, Backyard Guide to the Night Sky. So if you're interested in astronomy, even casually, and you want to dabble in it, and you want to learn some of the basics of how to really have a great learning curve in getting in and getting that satisfaction, I highly recommend this book, Backyard Guide to the Night Sky. I've packed it with all my tips and tricks that I've garnered over many decades of doing astronomy, doing outreach with the public to know what works, what doesn't work. I've learned all of that over the many years, and this little handbook, small pocket guide is really perfect, jam-packed with star charts, works for both north and southern hemisphere, how to choose a telescope, binoculars, how to do projects with kids on astronomy, and basically learning some of the science and gee whiz stuff to really appreciate the night sky. Highly recommend that. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it, and it's available wherever books are sold. And of course, it's by National Geographic, so you know the quality is there. National Geographic just does amazing, tons of photos and maps galore. Lots of stuff packed in this book. And like I said, it's available wherever books are sold. And thanks to you, it's one of the top best-selling stargazing guides for beginners and for even advanced amateurs out there. So do check it out. And thanks for your support. If you like this video and you would like to see more like this, please do hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or on YouTube. I'd love to see you as my stargazing friend. And until next week, I wish all of you guys clear skies. Bye-bye.